So as a reference, this top stick here is going to be, let's just say, our upper body movement throughout the golf swing, and the stick through my belt buckles is the lower body. And our objective from here, let's just say that both sticks are starting in such a position, we'll call this 0 degrees, right? We are trying to achieve a full upper body turn of about 90 degrees of shoulder rotation and hip rotation of about 45. Now from here, this is where this drill is so valuable for so many different players, is the feeling of getting into the finish position through the golf ball, of hearing some audible feedback of that shoulder or the upper body stick hitting the back of the lower body stick. So turning, shifting, clicking.
Yeah.
Right? Is that as we're doing so, we're getting to the top of the swing, we're shifting back. I actually like to try and get some explosion behind it. So at the same time that I'm trying to squeeze my glutes and get my chest tall, I'm trying to hear that I'm getting that clack of the sticks.
Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about the hanger training aid. I absolutely love this. I firmly believe that this is good for every single golfer. This hanger here creates and controls what I think is the most important part of the swing, which is the wrist angle. It snaps right on. It takes me probably 30 seconds to put on. I can put it right in my golf bag, and best of all is you can hit balls with it. You can actually hit balls with it. So I love this hanger training aids. Look at when I do that well, how that sits on my forearm. Now watch when I cut my wrist, how that comes off. Immediate feedback for where my wrist angle is at. No one that can have too flat of a left wrist. One of the few things that all good ball strikers have, we're trying to have. Flat left wrist, right? Super easy to use, incredible immediate feedback. With the coupon code GOGORNOGOLF.com, it's only $59. You're gonna absolutely love it. We'll put all the details down in the description down below. All right, so this one I'm super excited about. The feel that I gathered from this drill when I did this way back when is something that I used on the course, dude, for like 2 to 3 years. Like some of the best ball striking of my life came from a simple feel that I got from this drill that we're gonna do here now. So if you could walk us through this, and I saw you do this drill, I think on an Instagram video.
Yeah.
It's a drill that's been around, right, for a while. But I saw you do this one, and we have not actually done this, which is wild because it was such a good feel for me. We have so many videos, and we haven't done this one before, so I thought this would be a really nice opportunity to guide us through, and I really like the way you explained it.
Yeah, okay.
How this drill works, sort of what the sensations are, what the purpose is.
Yeah, so very similar to yourself, one of the big elements that I struggled on throughout my professional career was getting my hips in a position, creating some right side bend, allowing enough rotational, let's say separation between the lower body and the upper body coming into impact. And I saw this years ago on a post, and it starts off by putting an alignment stick through your belt buckles. And I like to have maybe about a fist or two outside the left and then a little bit more on the trail side here, because then it just allows for individual mobility and flexibility relative to the client in front. Because if you make it too short, this drill's not going to work as effective for everyone, right? From there, you're going to do the same sort of thing with the top stick. So as a reference, this top stick here is going to be, let's just say, our upper body movement throughout the golf swing, and the stick through my belt buckles is the lower body. And our objective from here, let's just say that both sticks are starting in such a position, we'll call this 0 degrees, right? We are trying to achieve a full upper body turn of about 90 degrees of shoulder rotation and hip rotation of about 45. Now from here, this is where this drill is so valuable for so many different players, is the feeling of getting into the finish position through the golf ball, of hearing some audible feedback of that shoulder or the upper body stick hitting the back of the lower body stick. And I like to combine it. You can do it slow to start off with. So turning, shifting, clicking.
Yeah.
Right? So the turn, the shift, and the click. And what I like to feel at the same point is that as we're doing so, we're getting to the top of the swing, we're shifting back. I actually like to try and get some explosion behind it. So at the same time that I'm trying to squeeze my glutes and get my chest tall, I'm trying to hear that I'm getting that clack of the sticks.
So good, dude. The turn, shift, and click method.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
So now we're gonna put up some pictures. I did some pictures of Xander Schauffele, who's a good model with this.
Okay.
If you could put that across your shoulders one more time, just a couple demonstrations. I think it was super cool to see some of these visuals. If we go up to the top of the swing, you know, you'll notice the angles of the sticks are like relatively close to the same plane. They're not exactly the same, but they're both tilted, right? Hips are tilted, shoulders are tilted. And if we get to impact, show an impact position, I mean, you start to see the difference, and let's go kind of past impact, sorry, in your follow through. So you start to see the difference of, look at the shoulder tilt compared to the hip tilt, right? You don't need to hold it, you're good there. But look, the difference between the top, and look at Xander as well as he's doing the same motion, he's gonna look identical to this. And those body motions that he does during the downswing enable so much good you get for free. Some of the pictures we'll have of Xander on there, you can really see the correlating shaft motions,
Massive.
right?
Massive.
So let's say we had the backswing sorted, because we said, man, there's 100 ways we could use this drill. Let's assume that we put those across. Let's assume you get the turn, the tilt, the extension stuff in the backswing. But let's say instead of getting the shoulder stick to hit the hip stick, let's say you missed them and they went real like level. Right?
So I give this drill to a lot of players and I'll demonstrate it first. And I said, this is absolutely one of those exercises where you'll look at it, you go, oh, that's easy. And then they completely do this nearly every single time. And obviously I'm not giving a player a drill like this if they don't really need to do it. So relative to exaggerating, they'll go, okay, so I saw Kerrod made a nice turn, he shifted, and then he made this clicking sound
easy enough
in the
from
follow
the
through,
side.
and then we see this all the time. Right?
Wait a minute.
Exactly. Exactly. They go, I thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah.
So one of the big reasons being is, number one, it's the sequence of that downswing move, right? How is the lower body shifting and starting to rotate in such a fashion that we're creating a separation between the lower body and the upper body to put our body in such an orientation that by the time that we get to this posted up finish position, that we're able to maintain that tilt and get that click behind. So effectively from the address position, what we'll notice from the face-on view here is that shoulder stick is turning more behind than the hip stick is. Let's just say 90 degrees is a reference and the hip's 45. Then as I'm recentering and shifting back, so if I was doing this in a dynamic fashion, turn, shift, right? We start to see that as I do that, this hip stick starts to begin to rotate a little bit earlier than the shoulder stick. And then as it continues to get to this point where it starts pushing up, we'll notice the shoulder stick is coming behind, it's going to hit behind. And what we say with players that tend to have a dominant upper body motion, they'll just miss it every single time. You can see it's almost maintaining the same gap as it had at address.
And like a lot of the issues, you know, when the shoulders get too level and you would miss that side bend piece we're going to talk about, the outcome you would see would be lack of distance. You'd hit the ball lower, and you have a pull to the left and fade to the right tendency. Now Xander, right, as he's a good model, that Tommy Fleetwood would be a good model, really easy to see the side bend piece. You can see as he goes to the, let's go up to the top one more time. If we were to look at the distance between the trail shoulder from the down the line angle, if we go up to the top, you look at the distance between the trail shoulder and the trail hip, and it's fairly far apart, because he's in left side bend at the top. Now, as he starts to work during the downswing, slowly but surely, that shoulder and that hip, as he works all the way through, keep going all the way through the follow through, now the distance between those two is much closer together. And if he had a club in his hand, what you would see like the Xander picture is that shaft, when you do that, is going to start to fall behind. It's a shallowing mechanism, right?
Yeah, I would say that if I get set up to the top, and let's say we've got these two reference points of this is the club shaft within reason, and I was going to do a good model where my lower body was shifting, was starting to rotate and then come through, you can see that this here, or this right shoulder, is moving in such a way that by the time we get back to the ball, we would have this right side bend, right? And you see so many pictures of someone like Dustin Johnson, right? And they're really into this position, a lot of right side bend. And what we see with a lot of recreational golfers, and this ties in with a lot of the other videos that we've said today, is their finish position, they'll be very level with the ground, right? Their eye line's level. So the first time that they go through this exercise and they get into their tilt, they almost just feel a little bit uncoordinated, and that they feel like it's wrong, but it's only just because they're not used to it.
Yeah, and when you look at this, like I had this drill, right, a very similar feel. I'm like, I just turned 33, so this is when I'm like 15. It was a long time ago. But I was having a lesson about the trail shoulder working down and forward. It was a very similar feel. I had a stick across here, stick across my shoulders. And in the beginning, for me to get to what I was told was correct through the ball, I mean, I felt so tilted over. Like it was pretty wild in the beginning. And then I look on video, I draw that little spine angle, right? And my body angle is just maintained. But for the player who's very level through the hit compared to that, it's got to feel like, for me, when I'm doing that, I mean, gosh darn it, it feels like a huge right side crunch. My left hip is pushed to the left more than normal. My shoulder's down, and not only from the down the line angle is that going to help the shaft, right? So swing more inside, more power, etc. Now, obviously, as you're doing that motion, what we don't want to see is here, and this is why this drill's so good, I don't just go into side bend and do nothing else.
Correct. Right. So that's why when I was demonstrating at the beginning, I said, when I follow through and I get to this finish position, it's important you get the sensation of squeezing your glutes.
Yeah.
Right? So you're actually still achieving the finish position posted up like you'd see with the professional, with the weight on the outstep of their lead foot, their hips forward and their chest extended. Usually the first time that players do this, so this is very important for just to note when you're doing this exercise, they'll just try and go like that.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So they're just trying to get the right shoulder down. They go, well, I'm clicking, what's going on here?
Right.
But they're missing the whole shifting
me in the
component,
beginning, yeah.
right? So getting the left knee feeling like it moves over the left ball of the foot for the right hander, that puts me in a position where then I can explode up powerfully.
And then you're turned.
Yeah.
And then you're turned.
Yeah.
So like one of the beautiful things every time he demonstrated that, right, that follow through position, knees, hips, chest, shoulders are fully turned towards the target.
Correct.
So when I would do in the beginning and my shoulder would go kind of straight down, I'm like, oh, that's it. And he's like, no. I still have to get the forward component along with that, right,
yeah.
for the contact.
Yeah, and I think just one quick thing to note is that when we are reshifting, we see this with all the best players in the world, is the lead hip stays lower in transition for longer, which means that I'm able to get myself moving forward. If I just get to the top of the swing and my lead hip gets high,
Yeah.
well, I'm hanging back.
Yeah.
So as we turn, we shift, and then we get that clicking feeling.
It
all moves together.
Let me do one of those just to refresh my memory. I have not done this in quite a while. And the fact that we haven't had this on the channel too is kind of funny. And the fact that this move for me was so critical. So we're going with the majority of it over on this side.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And the same thing here.
Yeah, one of the most important things here is just to make sure that within reason, we're getting this set so it's level to what the hip stick is doing. And sometimes players get it too low as well.
Okay.
I like to see it closer up towards the shoulders. There.
Towards the shoulders, okay.
Correct.
So now like my hips and shoulders are 0.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna do my back swing.
Perfect. So we see this nice bit of tilt at the top, nice full shoulder turn. And then I would like to see this recentering and shifting, bit of reflexing in the knees, right?
Yeah.
And then as you swing through, your hips are going, then that would tuck underneath. Now, I would try to avoid getting these two making contact until almost right at the end.
Okay, okay.
Because if you do it too early, this is just a simplification for players doing it, you usually haven't shifted your pressure enough early enough.
Got
so
it.
you haven't moved forward in space. Good, that lead hip staying low. Yeah, that looks really powerful. And you'll feel so much pressure being applied down through the ground there to the point where you just then extend and explode up. And that translates into speed at the moment of impact.
I really like this kind of idea too of like when I'm getting into this follow through position,
Yeah.
gosh, do I get so many things here.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, I have my side bend, I have my hips forward, I have my rotation, I have my tilt. Like all of these things, if I can get into this position, this is what my body should feel like.
Yeah,
right.
correct.
My tilts are, they're not going to be exactly the same, but you know, they're close-ish during the backswing. And then the difference of those as I work into the follow through with how much more tilted over the shoulder plane is.
Looks great.
Is a piece that a lot of us miss right on the way through.
And I would tend to say that the majority of recreational golfers that do struggle with their ball striking have a turn through the golf ball or finish in this position where they would be too level.
Too level. 100%, dude.
So we throw
100%.
golfers into two main categories, right? Those who block and hook or have the potential to block and hook,
Yeah.
and those who tend to pull and slice. Now, 90% of golfers pull and slice.
Yeah.
So when they do this drill, this exercise, they would be the player where those sticks would not meet.
Dude, and you know, the sensations as I'm starting to take those in are very similar to what I used to feel, which is that I feel like my right side's crunched, my right shoulder's way closer to my left.
Yeah.
But I'm still turned.
Yeah, you're still shifting that pressure onto the front foot, yeah.
And this is coming from me who's like, you know, I was here. So I never had an issue with the shifting part.
Yeah.
Me in particular. I had an issue with me doing this and having enough of the tilting and the turning piece, which I think is maybe a little bit more of an advanced, you know, player thing. But as I'm working through here, these same feels that I have are the same feels that I used to have. And then into the follow through, I'll always remember in the beginning, you know, the sense, like we talked about before, it's almost like I'm looking at the target different.
Correct.
I was used to being up here,
Yeah, you
level.
can see, and the camera can see that quite nicely, is you've got this look where your eye line is tilted. And if you go back to address, right, from there, now you stand up dead straight for me. So when you bend down and you go down into your posture, as we now swing to the top of the backswing, right, we're staying in our incline, right? And then as you go through the ball and then follow through, we can see that is staying in your posture.
Yeah.
You're keeping a stable head throughout the motion. But
My right
you'll
ear kind of
see-
lower than my left.
Yeah, exactly. The body is working in such a way to deliver that golf ball with an effective transfer of energy and power where we create the most amount of speed.
It's so funny. I'm telling you, if you haven't done that before, looking at the target tilted over can be a wild
It can trip you out.
thing. I remember playing the rounds. I'm like, man, my whole view of my round is different. Ball flight comes out different, etc. So I really liked the one. I'm glad we have that one in here because I know for sure in my coaching moving forward, I'm going to reference this as a drill for people. So as with everything else, when you do the drill, you're correlating a feel and sensation, right, that you're looking for here. And then to know that you did it correctly and enough of it, you simply cannot get around using the video. You have to be hitting with a real ball. You have to see what you're actually doing.
Oh yeah.
And it's okay if your drill feel isn't enough when you're hitting a ball. Dial up the volume of those. Slow down the swing speed. Increase exaggeration. And ultimately, there's a point why you'd be doing this, right? Better ball striking,
Correct.
higher, farther.
Yeah.
So there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I would get a player to come in. I would get them to go through the process, get that contact, and then I would immediately take the sticks off them, get them to hit a golf ball, try and recreate the same feeling, put them side by side on the video, and go, how close are we actually? Oh, well, it felt like I was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But before you know it, the right shoulder's high and the chest is staying down, and it just really helps bridge that gap between working on the feel and then actually applying it.
And like most often than not, the solution there's, hey, you don't have to do anything different than what we just discussed.
Correct.
You've got to do it more, sooner, whatever the thing is.
More
right?
often, yeah.
So, awesome, love it. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.